Hello, and welcome back to M&B Warband. I am the Flexible Strategist, and today I'm going to do one of my tip videos. Primarily concerning upgrading your character as well as your companions. Now, let's get started. Let's look at my character. This is Burt the Bandit King. As you can see, I've conquered Calradia. It took a long time, but Burt has upgraded into what he is now. I'm going to tell you how I upgraded Burt the Bandit King. First, I upgraded his agility and strength, I believe, to 15, and then his intelligence and charisma came up to 15 after that. I then upgraded his agility to 18, I believe. And after that, I started increasing his charisma and intelligence, primarily his charisma, for a very specific reason. Charisma is used to increase one's prisoner management, trade, and leadership, all of which are skills that are useful in making money. My playthrough as Burt the Bandit King was one of financial accumulation primarily, and well, trade obviously gives you better deals when selling to merchants and so forth. Increases your trade penalty by 5%. Leadership increases the number of troops you can command by 5, and increases party morale, and reduces troop wages by 5%. Now, think about that. How much do you spend on the soldiers in your party? And that's every week they're collecting wages. And then there's the troops in your garrisons. Now, it may not be very important early game, but by the end, leadership is very important. And then, of course, there's prisoner management. Now, some mods, you don't have to worry too much about prisoner management, because sometimes the number of soldiers you can take prisoner is dependent upon your party size, but with native, prisoner management is important. I've increased it to 8, which allows me to collect 40 prisoners, which is very useful in making money. If you're near a bandit-infested area and there's a ransom broker in a nearby town, you can make thousands of dinars by attacking and capturing bandits and selling them to a ransom broker. But enough about these. Let's move on to the other attributes. After increasing charisma and intelligence, I started increasing agility again, as well as strength. I brought it up to 18, and agility up to 20. I intended to go to 21, but the game's all but over now, so there we are. Strength is important. Every point adds +1 hit points, and it allows you to wear better armor. It also increases the skills that are related to strength, the more you increase it, as with all the skills. Agility is actually a very underrated skill in M&B Warband, I think. It gives you 5 extra weapon points to spend in your proficiencies, and slightly increases your movement speed. Now, just as important as taking a hit, being able to avoid them and deal them on others is just as important, which is why agility is so important. Intelligence is important because it gives you 2 skill points to spend right here. And, well, of course, there are the intelligence-related skills as well. Now, Iron Flesh is not the most important skill. It gives you 2 extra hit points for every point you have in Iron Flesh, but that's just a little extra padding on you. Power Strike is one of the most important skills. Being able to hurt your enemy, that's important. Each skill point increases melee damage by 8%. I have 6 in it, and I can kill most enemies in 1, maybe 2 hits. 2 if they're particularly strong. Power Throw, I almost never spec into that. I'm decent at using throwing weapons during tournaments. It increases the throwing damage by 10%. Power Draw increases bow damage by 14% for each skill point. I use the bow a lot, as you can see. Very useful. Weapon Master makes it easier to learn weapon proficiencies. The more points you have in your proficiencies, the better, the faster you can use these weapons, as well as the more damage I believe they do. Also, it increases the accuracy of the ranged weapons. A very useful skill. Though I typically don't increase my Weapon Master to more than 4 or 5. When you increase it to, let's say, 4, it increases the amount of proficiencies you can add with your weapon points up to 220. Now, once you have a proficiency of 200 in any of the weapon proficiencies right here, you don't really need more than that, I've noticed. I mean, if you can get more in the other proficiency areas, that's great, but I find 200 is a good amount to have in any one of the proficiencies, depending upon the weapons you're using, of course. Shield is a very useful skill. Well, if you have a shield. Shields are useful for blocking arrows as well as other melee attacks. Primarily, I think it's most useful with blocking ranged attacks. Each point in it reduces the damage to shields and improves the shield's speed and coverage. If you have a small shield, the more points you have in it will increase the amount of area that the shield covers on your body when you have it up. So, very useful. Athletics improves your running. I have increased it to 5 here. My character does run a little faster than other characters. I find that if you're on foot a lot, athletics would be a very useful skill to have, but me, I prefer riding. That enables you to ride your horse, ride horses of higher difficulty. It also increases your riding speed and maneuverability. Horse archery is useful. I have it only at 1, though sometimes I increase horse archery on some of my companions to about 3, if they have a bow or something. I've increased my looting to 6. This skill increases the amount of loot obtained by 10% per skill level. So every party you attack, you'll get a little more loot for every skill point you have here. Trainer, I have 1 in Trainer because I read a book. But I have about 3 companions, maybe 4, that I increase Trainer with. I don't bother increasing the skill because there are certain skills that I do increase with my character, but Trainer is not one of them. Certain of the skill points I allow my companions to increase. That way they cover certain things with the party. Tracking, for instance, I only have 1 in Tracker for some reason. I think it was how I started my character, being a stepchild, or... No, being street urchin or something. I don't know. But increase my tracking. Tracks become more informative. You see them on the ground after a party's passed. You can see, oh, these tracks are big. They have 200 people. Something like that. Then there's tactics. Every 2 levels of this skill increases starting battle advantage by 1. Tactics can be useful. I think... Now, I'm not 100% certain, but I think tactics increases how well your party does when you're auto-resolving. I have my trainers or engineers increase that skill. Pathfinding is extremely important. I have 6 in Pathfinding, and I increase the Pathfinding on all of my companions as much as I can. Party map speed is increased by 3% per skill level. If you and your companions all have very high Pathfinding, you can move across the map very easily, even with a fairly large army. Spotting, I have about 3 companions that do spotting and tracking for me. This increases the range, party seeing range by 10% per skill level. As I mentioned, I have a few companions that do that for me. Inventory, I've increased to 7. I have a lot of inventory space. Wound treatments and surgery. I got some skill from that from a book, I believe, or I'm carrying 2 books that increase it. They're green, so I think it's because of the item I have. Wound treatment increases party healing speed by 20% per skill level. Surgery increases gives a 4% chance that mortally struck party members will be wounded rather than killed. And first aid allows heroes to regain 5% per skill level lost during a mission. I think it also applies to sieges, like after you take the outer wall and you're going into the castle, you'll notice that your health goes up a little bit. That's due to first aid. Now, I do have, I think, 3, maybe 4 companions that I increase the wound treatment, surgery, and first aid on. I find having at least 3 skill point, 3 in each of these skill points with your companions is essential to the health of your party. Increasing it more makes it far more effective. Very few of your men will die, but 3 I find is at the very least sufficient. Engineer skill. That skill allows you to construct siege equipment and fief improvements more efficiently and cheaply. I have 2, maybe 3 engineers. I don't focus on it myself. Persuasion is fairly useful. I have 5 in Persuasion. The skill helps you make other people accept your point of view. It also lowers the minimum level of relationship needed to get NPCs to do what you want. It's rather useful. Not necessary, but it does help you to get others on your side, or to do things that you want. And as I've mentioned, prisoner management, very useful in keeping down troop wages. No, that's leadership. I've mentioned prisoner management and trade already. Now the proficiencies, of course, are for one-handed, two-handed, polearm, and, well, you can read those. It increases how well you can use each of these types of weapons. Now, I have my companions each with a... I give each of my companions a certain speciality in the skills they have. One can be a trainer, an engineer, a healer, or a tracker. And I increase their skills accordingly. Some skills, like leadership, prisoner management, trade, inventory, pathfinding, looting. I take it upon myself to increase, but the rest I allow my companions to increase. I also increase some of their combat skills, depending upon what weapons they have. Let's take a look at the party skills. My trade is 7, but it's +2, which I think has something to do with Marnid. He has some trading skill. Looting is +6, but there are a few companions, I think, with a little looting too, so that increases it +2. Mathilde is in charge of tactics, and she has 6 in tactics. Bashta has 6 in engineer, so he covers that skill with the party. Borcha has 6 spotting and 6 tracking. Marnid has 8 in pathfinding. Yes, I did increase his intelligence quite a bit. So it's 8 +2. Also, he's responsible for first aid, surgery, and Ymira has 5 in wound treatment, so she covers that. Let's take a look at Marnid's skills for a moment. I've increased his Iron Flesh and Power Strike so that he's more effective in battle. His power draws increase because he has a bow. He has some riding skills, some horse archery, of course. 4 in horse archery. 8 in pathfinding. Of course, there are his healing skills right here. And he has 3 in trade. Anyway, that's pretty much it for how I upgrade myself and my companions. I hope you have found it entertaining and useful. Now, without further ado, I'm going to attack these step bandits, provide a little entertainment before I end it.
What do you want?
Surrender or die.
As you wish. Prepare to die.
I like to capture them. I attacked another step bandit a little earlier. After I'm done killing these, I'll end the video, and next time you'll be seeing the last episode of Burt the Bandit King's journey. I hope you enjoy it. Alright, here we go. Bow is useful. As you can see, I have a slow horse, but a strong horse. Won't get taken out very easily in battle. Slightly better shot. I might have killed some of those. I was a little impatient. Now, where's the others? Where are the others? It doesn't matter. They should probably retreat by now. And so they do. Okay. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time. See you then.